Good evening, Yorktown. This is Town Supervisor Matt Slater coming to you from the Town Boardroom. It is Monday, April 6th, about 6 o'clock p.m. I'm joined by Police Chief Robert Noble and Deputy Supervisor and Councilman Tom Diana.
Good evening.
We wanted to provide another update regarding COVID-19. We've got a few things to report tonight, a couple of new things. I'm going to start with numbers. We have now 182 confirmed cases in the town of Yorktown, which again is an increase from yesterday. For Westchester County, the number is now 14,294, and statewide we are at 130,689. If you've heard the governor today, there are still statistical indications that we may in fact be plateauing, which is great, but we still are very cautious and very vigilant until we get a greater set of data. Just to dive a little deeper into the numbers, if I can, for Westchester County, there were 571 new positives. There were 1,398 people tested, and the percent of positive results overall in Westchester is 31.5%. Total people tested in the state of New York is now at 320,811, and there were 8,658 new positives yesterday, April 5th. You also heard the governor earlier today. The New York Onpause program was extended until April 29th. So the 100% non-essential workforce mandate continues until April 29th. The school districts will also remain closed at this point at least until April 29th. I spoke with Lakeland School Superintendent George Stone today, and we were also informed that the New York State Regents, has been canceled for the 2020 school year. They are awaiting from additional guidance from the State Education Department as to the next steps in their process. Again, just as a point of clarification, the town does not have any oversight of our school districts. They were completely separate, and they deal directly with the state of New York. So again, New York Onpause has been extended until April 29th. And I just want to reemphasize some of the points regarding New York Onpause. Again, all non-essential businesses statewide are to be closed. And if you go to our website, yorktownny.org, we do have the COVID-19 page, which has a lot of this information posted right on there, so you can see the essential versus non-essential list. Non-essential gatherings of individuals of any size for any reason, for example, parties, celebrations, or other social events, are canceled or postponed. Again, this now goes through April 29th. Any concentration of individuals outside of their home must be limited to workers providing essential services, and social distancing should be practiced. When in public, individuals must practice social distancing of at least 6 feet from others. And I'm just going to pause there for a second, because among the other things the governor announced today, he also announced increasing the maximum fine, and that's one of the reasons we have Chief Noble here, is to discuss this and some of the other parameters we put forward locally. But the governor has increased the maximum fine for violations of the state's social distancing protocol. And the maximum fine has now doubled from $500 to $1,000 for anyone who is found violating these social distancing protocols of the state of New York. Here in Yorktown, I think that our residents have done a very good job overall in adhering to the parameters and the provisions put forth, both by the state and by local government. One of the things that we continue to combat nearly daily is litter. And I've talked about this a number of times on a number of these updates. We provided an update on how to properly remove your gloves, and I'm wearing gloves, and Chief Noble's wearing his gloves. Councilman Diana is going to be sporting one of our masks I'll be talking about shortly. But your gloves should not be discarded into a parking lot. They should not be discarded into a shopping carriage. And it's gotten to the point where I don't think please is enough anymore. And so I have signed another emergency order. I spoke with the town board members, and so I've signed another emergency order echoing the governor's order, which doubles the initial fine for littering from $500 to $1,000. So again, littering is against the law. Our code enforcement and our staff and our police department are out in force, enhancing their enforcement of our littering law. If you are caught littering, you will be fined. And you're not being fined a small amount. You're being fined, your first time you're being fined $1,000. And my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, if you get fined a second time within that year, it doubles. And every time after that, it doubles. And we have all intentions of upholding this law. My hope, frankly, and I hope I'm not talking at a school, but my hope is when the town board does come back together that we can make this $1,000 fine a permanent enhancement of our litter law, because littering is just frankly disgusting. And in this case, as Councilman Diana had pointed out to me, because he was up at the Shrub Oak Shopping Center, you're not just littering candy wrappers, you're not just discarding trash, you're discarding medical waste, because you just don't know what's on the gloves and what's on the masks that people are utilizing. So again, the town of Yorktown is doubling our fines for littering from $500 to $1,000 as a way to combat and enforce our littering laws. Chief, did you want to make a comment about this while we're on the topic?
Well, yeah, I know there was some discussion last night about the littering laws, and it's not as simple as taking a picture of somebody and sending it to the police department, which I know was mentioned last night. A violation in New York State, unless it's witnessed by us, the police or members of the building department who specifically can write code for that, the town code, we need to witness those violations, like I said. If not, we need a sworn statement from somebody who can identify the litterer. That's the law that we're bound, that we're sworn to uphold. So it's not as simple as sending in pictures and saying, go get them. That being said, we are making random checks when we have the resources to do so. I mean, I'd rather put unmarked patrols out for other reasons, but we'll hit the parking lots to see if we can spot anybody littering. We need the buy-in. That's what we need. You said it's it's done. We're done saying please, but again, it's who throws away used gloves and a mask in a parking lot
during a pandemic?
During a pandemic,
I mean, it
again,
baffles me.
I'd much rather allocate police resources to be a visible deterrent to crime, to keep Yorktown safe, business districts safe, residential neighborhoods safe, and to focus on that. We've made several arrests during this pandemic.
Yes, we have.
The goal is, though, to keep my, like I said, and the first responders, I say it every time I get on here, my police department, they've been fantastic. The volunteer ambulance corps, the fire departments,
Tremendous.
You can't have better people to have your back. But the key is to keep them healthy. We don't want to have to arrest people. We will. But to bring them into our building, that's a last resort.
Right.
And we're trying to keep the big picture in mind. Again, you call, we come. Whether it's social distancing violations with too many people in one area, or it's littering. You call, we come. But we need the buy-in. Like you said, we need people to realize that this is just unsanitary. It's lazy, and it could be a little bit dangerous now. Would you want to be picking up that trash You know, that could be your son or your daughter, your mom or your dad who work at these grocery stores picking up that trash. You know, I think we're better than that here in Yorktown, so I'm hoping that's gonna cease. But again, like I said, it's not as simple. We need somebody to put pen to paper and give us a deposition when they witness this type of thing happening.
Right. The other part that I wanted to talk about with the chief here is self-reporting. This is something that we've talked about as well. Again, we've reported 182 cases, confirmed cases, as of today in the town of Yorktown. That's the data that's given to us. We've stated consistently that the data that we are receiving is in fact 72 hours at best old. And so people are continuing to be tested. At this point in time, all of our first responders, when they were, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but when you do answer a call, you're answering, our first responders are answering a call with the presumption that is a COVID-19 positive.
Absolutely.
And that's the protocol that's being in place, not just here, but across the county.
Right.
And so one of the things that we are asking the public is if you have tested positive for COVID-19, to please self-report to the police department, because we are trying our best, exactly to what the chief just said. We need to keep our first responders healthy. They are coming when you call them no matter what. And we owe them such an enormous debt of gratitude for that dedication. But if we know in advance, it definitely helps in a number of different ways for our first responders. And I'll say also, I want to speak specifically to what Captain Davin from YVAC had described. And fact of the matter is, they are 100% volunteer. And they are still coming through your door when you call for an emergency. At this point, they have, I believe, 30 members of YVAC that they continue to cycle in and out. And nearly all 30 have been exposed to COVID-19. And I think from other accounts that we've heard from our first responders, that the fact of the matter is people aren't fully disclosing whether or not they have been tested when there's a first responder standing in their living room. And so we're just asking for a very sincere courtesy be granted to our first responders by self-reporting. So if you do, in fact, test positive, because, again, the data that we're getting has continued to be about 3 days behind real time, if you could please self-report, and it's the non-emergency number, Chief, that you want them to call?
Oh, no, they can email me directly.
Okay.
This way, if I could interject.
Please.
Yeah. You know, the supervisor and I, you know, spoke today about this, and, you know, so that the people know every morning that we go in, I meet with my lieutenants, and the conversation is, how can we keep our guys and the first responders safer every day? We discuss this. And, you know, one of the things we kind of came up with was to ask people to self-report, because, like you said, Supervisor, this information is 3 to 4 days old by the time we get it.
Right.
And we were also told that quite possibly members of this town, if they're tested in a different county,
aren't being properly reported to the
that
county and to
data
us.
may
Right.
never even get to us.
Correct.
So, yes, we treat everybody. You know, most people are asymptomatic.
Right.
Most people don't even know, don't show signs. We get it. We treat everybody as if they're COVID-19 positive. But we do have a limited amount of certain supplies, one of them being Tyvek suits. We have gloves. We have masks. We don't have a lot of Tyvek suits. Those ones, you know, if there is an emergency need, and understand something, the police officers wait outside at these calls. They're not going in unless things go very, very wrong.
Right.
And when they go very wrong in a COVID-positive house, we want to have that protective barrier, those Tyveks. So we're trying to protect, you know, trying to
Absolutely.
utilize those when absolutely necessary. So part of this is maybe having this information where people self-report, and we know that if you live alone, you know, there may not be somebody to tell us.
Right. Exactly.
You know, we're trying to take it to that next level, trying to think of every layer. What information can we get in order to pass it along to the police, to the firefighters, to the ambulance corps people who come to your house? And this was just
And so
one of
the
those
email
things
they
we
should
thought
send
of.
to is rnoble.
Yeah, they can send it to my email, rnoble, N-O-B-L-E, at yorktownpd.org. And so that you understand what happens, I get it, and one other person receives that information because he enters it into our CAD system. And what would happen is if we go to your house, an alert would pop up that desk personnel would get, and then they advise the police
Yeah.
and every first responder going to that house. They don't do it over the police radio. They have everybody call in who is going to the house,
Right.
and we share that information privately. So again, this isn't a fishing expedition. We're just trying to best protect everybody in this town that may be responding to a residence. You know, understand again, we're treating everybody as COVID-19 positive. We treat each other at work as if we're COVID positive.
Yep.
But having this information, I mean, every now and then these alerts pop up, and it's actually a good thing for the first responders because it serves as a reminder, you know, to not get complacent. You know, there's a line in police work, complacency kills. Well, we're trying to, every now and again, we go to a residence, that alert hits, and it's a wake-up call for everybody involved.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, and so again, we're going to add that to our website, the COVID-19 update page on the town website, so that if anybody wants or can report, they can email you directly.
You're emailing me, and it's going to one other person, and it's being entered into our system.
Correct.
And then that alert pops up.
Right.
And nobody's got the time to nose around and try to find out. Even if the alert pops up, there's an alert that comes to us saying that an alert was given. So again,
so it's protected information.
Yeah.
It's not shared publicly at all.
Exactly.
And again, I think it's at least the very least that we can do for our first responders who are going to answer that call when there is an emergency at your house. So again, it's rnoble at yorktownpd.org.
Yep.
rnoble at yorktownpd.org. And again, we'll add that to the COVID-19 update page on the town's website for those who have tested positive. I also want Councilman Diana.
I just want to see him wear the mask.
So I wanted Councilman Diana to sport this mask. Well, he came in sporting the mask. So this is one of the masks that was produced.
Looks like Magoo.
by Game Sportswear. These have been distributed to all town employees that they are being urged to use, especially our town hall employees. Our tax receiver was in today, and she had one of her employees with her going through the tax payments, and they were wearing these masks. I was wearing masks today throughout the day here in town hall, and so again, we want to thank Game Sportswear for providing us this assistance. This is a reusable mask. It can be washed every night. And again, we've been distributing these to all of our town employees, and I want to thank Margaret Gaspering for leading that cause and getting that out to all of our employees, because we want to make sure that they're safe when they are reporting to work. And Councilman, did you want to provide a quick update from Shrub Oak?
Yes.
Shrub-Okie?
Thanks, Okie from Shrub-Okie. Thank you, Supervisor. And Chief, thank you for the work that your crew is doing out there. And I want to thank all the first responders. We can't leave out the nurses and the doctors who are out there on the front lines attacking this. And that's about the only word I could think to use for this. It's a shame, and it is disgusting, Supervisor. You're 100% right, and Chief, that we have to resort to such measures in this town as to impose great fines on people for leaving their, pardon the expression, medical waste on the sidewalks and in the parking lots of the town of Yorktown. We are at the Shrub Oak Shopping Center today, and I don't think the camera could focus in on this. Took pictures, and there's blue gloves similar to the ones the supervisor has on that were stuck on the poles holding up the canopy at the Acme Shopping Center. They were on the ground and in the parking lot. That is inexcusable. And we have to do what we have to do to stop this. one of the other things is that the Lions Club has donated a sum of money, and through one of my suppliers, I was able to purchase the Tyvek suits that the chief had spoken about, and myself and Councilman Lachterman had given them to both ambulance corps, Yorktown and Mohegan, and one of our nail salons donated a box of masks and 1,000 gloves to each ambulance corps. This is our community coming together. Just today, the Elks Club of the town of Yorktown is going to donate a sum of money so that we can purchase toilet paper and paper towels for our seniors. And that's going to be distributed through our senior nutrition program in the town of Yorktown.
That's great. Yep.
This is our community coming together, folks. This threat is real. The Elks have also, as a sidebar, have offered their parking lot and or their facility if necessary. If we needed to have a drive-through testing facility, or site, I should say, or we needed to use the Elks building for whatever we needed to use it for. But this is real, folks. Don't take it lightly. Practice your social distancing. Practice your pause. It's going to save lives. And the sooner we do this, the sooner that we can get this behind us. And I think you had said before, Supervisor, that the curve has flattened a bit, but
The last 2 days, the statistics show potential plateau, but we still have a long way to go.
yeah, don't take that as a shot in the arm, no pun intended.
Well, the numbers here in Yorktown continue to rise. That's what the numbers continue to show, that we have not seen a day where we haven't seen it increase. But I think, again, to Councilman Diana's point, what you're seeing from our civic organizations and people all over town, Game Sportswear, who, again, you want to hold that up for me again,
Yes.
Councilman Diana? And my apologies to folks on Facebook if you can't see it. I think Tommy in the back, I think you can put this on for. So again, this is one of their cloth masks that are reusable. And again, the CDC is recommending for those who do go out in public that you should be wearing some type of cloth mask or cover. And like I was saying before, to Councilman Diana's point, you know, I can see, I keep calling it the Yorktown way, with the civic organizations and the businesses, the outpouring of support, the coming together, the rallying around each other. We're stronger when we're together. And just today, I had an individual family who's doing the same thing, and they are going to be donating masks to our first responders. I believe they're the KN95 masks, which were just approved for use, the KN95 masks. And they also have a quantity of masks that they want to actually provide to the public. And so tomorrow, from 1 to 4, the public is able to go to the Shrub Oak Shell gas station, which is located at 930 East Main Street, and the Musa family, Ray and Hanan Musa, the Musa family, they like to say behind the scenes, this is not their gig, but they were so inspired to help this community, the community that they have so much love for, that they are going to have masks and hand sanitizers to distribute to the public. Obviously, it's a first come, first serve basis, but from 1 to 4 tomorrow, if anyone is in need of a mask, tomorrow being Tuesday, April 7th, so again, Tuesday, April 7th, from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. at the Shrub Oak Shell gas station at 930 East Main Street, and we sincerely thank Ray and Hanan and their entire family and their entire organization for their willingness to do something like this. This is a public-private partnership. They were just looking to help, and they asked the best way to do it, and working together, we're going to be able to provide not only our first responders, but some of the folks in the public who are in need of a mask, some additional protection. And so again, we thank Ray and his family for this incredible generosity that they're showing to our town. And again, I've also heard from people and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've heard from people about if they see folks who are not adhering to New York on pause, the non-emergency police line is 914-962-4141. I'll say it again. 914-962-4141 is the non-emergency police line. We do our best to cover as much ground as possible. There's a lot of space here in the town of Yorktown, and so we do sometimes, and more often than not, we do rely on the public's help.
Absolutely.
And so if you do see something occurring or people not following the order, please feel free to call the police department. Again, that number is 914-962-4141. Understand FDR Park remains open. That is a state facility. We continue to have conversations with our partners on the state level about FDR Park, and we just want to once again remind people that if you are going to be on the bike path or you're on FDR Park, you have to still adhere to the social distancing parameters. At FDR Park, the playgrounds, sports fields, and basketball courts are closed, just like the active parks in Yorktown remain closed. But again, if you see people on there, don't be afraid to call the non-emergency number, which again...
Well, not FDR, though.
Not FDR, excuse me. But if you see people in the active parks of the town of Yorktown, you feel free to let us know. That number, again, is 914-962-4141. Again, that's 914-962-4141, and we appreciate your help, support, and vigilance in ensuring that we get through this pandemic as quickly as we can. With that being said, as always, we try to provide the information, validated information. I forgot one very important part. Right before we started, I was notified for those who don't think this is serious, we were notified of another Yorktown resident who unfortunately passed away today due to COVID-19. I don't have an official tally. Unofficially, that number stands at 3. We, again, are not notified of COVID-related deaths within the community. We have continued to request that. But as the Chief pointed out, it gets a little blurred with the data and depending on where that individual may or may not be. But I was notified again today that another Yorktown resident had passed due to complications to COVID-19. So again, as I say earlier, be smart. Your choices matter, not just for you, but for your loved ones, for your family, and for complete strangers. And so at a time like now, we need to be more compassionate, we need to be more understanding, and understand the fact that we're all going through this trying time together. And so the more we can do for each other, and the more sensitive we can be, the easier it will be for us to get through this next stretch of New York on pause, which again expires at this point in time on April 29th. If you do have any questions, you can always call. Again, Town Hall, we did have staff in today, but you can call me directly at 914-962-5722, extension 200. That's 914-962-5722, extension 200. And you can email me anytime at night at mslater@yorktownny.org, mslater@yorktownny.org. Gentlemen, anything else you want to add? Otherwise, we'll sign off.
Just the one thing is that it is only allowed to have essential workers at your house, such as if you have a problem, let's say, with your electrical fuse panel and you don't have electricity, something of that nature. Landscapers and the like are not essential to your home at this point in time. So just a brief reminder on that, and I'm sure that there is a list of...
There is a list. The landscaper issue has been debated and tossed back and forth for the last 2 weeks. At this point, again, as I stated last night, Economic State Development is claiming it's not essential. Agriculture and Markets, which oversees farming, claims it is essential. So they have to get on. They haven't gotten on the same page yet. So it's still a gray area. We're trying our best to provide some clarity and guidance on that. My recommendation would be, considering that Ags and Market considers it essential, basic landscaping, basic maintenance is allowed, but it can only be done by one individual, not by multiple individuals. You cannot have multiple individuals traversing in a single car or a single truck. All those things violate the social distancing parameters that the governor has put forth. And so for specifically landscaping, that's what I'm referring to. And so, again, the best advice that we can provide at this point in time until we're giving greater clarity is basic maintenance is allowed, but can only be performed by one individual. And if people have questions about that, again, they can either call me at 914-962-5722, extension 200, or you can email me directly at mslater@yorktownny.org. I probably get more questions about landscaping in a day than any other topic, and we're trying our best to provide that guidance as it becomes available. But again, we're here to provide as much information as we can. As we get information that's validated, we'll continue to provide it to you, the public. I will be back tomorrow night at 6:45, joined by County Executive George Latimer. He'll be in on a Zoom platform. As a reminder, our planning board work session is set to begin shortly, and they are also doing this remotely via Zoom. And on Thursday, Dr. Michael Ford from the Hudson Valley Hospital Center will be joining me here at Town Hall to provide an update from the hospital, as well as provide additional tips for folks at home as we continue to go through this pandemic and get to the end of New York Onpause.
I jump in on something?
Yes, Chief.
We talked about a lot of things, and I always try to end on a positive, to a little upbeat. I got some people I need to thank. You and the rest of the board, whoever was responsible for putting the drop box out there in our courtyard. We're still getting medical supplies in there.
Awesome.
So, again, if you have, gloves, N95s, gowns, the Tyvek, anything that's, new, wrapped and sealed, that drop box is right out there in our courtyard. And that's, we've come up with a lot of supplies there. So, like I said, it's a nice positive, and I'd like to thank people who have been coming by and dropping it off, and thank you guys for putting it out there. Mm-hmm. That's a win. Two people I need to thank. I can't go into why, but Dr. Hatter and Dr. Stone, you leverage positive relationships that you build, in the community, and we're proud of the relationship. I know I am, since I've stepped into these shoes that we have with the school districts, and we got lucky when they came up with Dr. Hatter replacing Dr. Napolitano, and I know Dr. Stone's retiring this year, so somebody's going to have some big shoes to fill.
Big shoes.
And
big shoes.
I hope we can count on that person like we have, Dr. Stone. So to Dr. Stone and Dr. Hatter, you have my agency's thanks and appreciation.
Well, they have the town's thanks and appreciation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think we've talked about partnership and supporting each other, and I think that between our town agencies and our school districts, we've been in constant contact together, and we've been working together on a lot of great things.
And lastly, I need to thank the people, the restaurants who have been dropping off food at headquarters. What do they say? You get to people's hearts through their stomachs,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it means a lot. It means a lot to all the employees who work in the building, especially the cops that go out there, and it really does. There's too many people to mention. I know there's a group of parents who started a GoFundMe.
Yep.
That are feeding
First
the
responders,
ambulance
yep.
corps, the hospital, you name it. I mean, that's the best of the best. I mean, right there. So I need to thank those people on behalf of my officers. So it does mean a lot. And just today, we got another Karen Mosman cake. I know we honored Karen last month.
That's right.
And she brought in a nice fresh
Make sure you
baked
save
cake.
me a slice.
Well, come on up. We'll hook you up as soon as we get done here. But
There you go.
always try to end on a positive.
That's
so
it.
Thank you very much for the support.
That's it. All right, Yorktown, as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for all you're doing out there, and we'll be back tomorrow with any new valid information to share with you. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.